Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Carson, and this is my windshield survey for Nursing 445, Group 2 for Cal State San Marcos. For my assessment, I chose to go with Solano County, which is where I live. I happen to live in Benicia, California, so neither one of the two cities, but I do have a relationship with both. I used to do my community work and some of my rotations in Vallejo during nursing school, and I work in Vacaville in the emergency department. Solano County is part of the East Bay and the North Bay. Vallejo, California is a zip code of 94590 and a population of 118,837 according to the last census, and will be my low-income community. Vacaville, California, with a zip code of 95687, has a population of 94,275 near the Sacramento area, and this will be my upper class community. Upon my assessment, the physical environment, Vallejo has a poor building conditions. It's crowded, dirty, lots of littering around the streets. It doesn't seem like anything was picked up. It has few city parks. The ones that I did come across were cement parks, mainly basketball courts, and uninhabited. And it seemed to be poverty stricken, lots of homeless around. Upon my assessment in Vacaville, the city is well manicured, clean, open. City foliage is well maintained, lots of lush greens, and many clean, well-used city parks outdoors with lots of families. I happened to visit both cities on the weekend, so I was able to compare and contrast when people are off. The general appearance. Vallejo is old, dirty, and in need of repair and city funding. There are many empty businesses and guardrails installed at every business. This picture below here shows one of the local liquor stores. You can find one of these at almost any corner. Heavily gated, open 24 hours, and didn't really seem like a safe place to be. Vacaville, on the other hand, is clean, well-maintained with many new businesses, no potholes, and lots of people shopping and out walking. Vacaville is home of some of set of premium outlets, including Nike, and as you see pictured here, Skechers and Wilson's Leather, that attracts many people out to go shopping. Boundaries. Vallejo is bordered by West I-80 and South 680. The city of Vallejo is adjacent to the city of Benicia and Martinez. Vacaville, bordered by East I-80, the city of Vacaville is surrounded by the cities of Winters and Dixon to the north at the end of Midway Street. They are about 35 minutes away from each other, but in the same county. Housing. There's a stark difference between housing that I observed between Vallejo and Vacaville. Vallejo, many of the houses are not well maintained, and almost every house that I saw did have a fence surrounding the yard. Not your typical white picket fence, but a gated metal fence that also incorporated the garage as well. As you can see, the streets look like they hadn't been maintained. There are many potholes, and the houses are very close to each other. Oftentimes, I would see multiple cars, maybe meaning that there are multiple families living in these houses, perhaps overcrowding. In Vacaville, you see lots of custom houses like the one here shown. The streets are well manicured, everything is picked up, and there aren't any potholes. Many of these custom homes go from 800,000 plus and seat families of 8 or more with multiple car garages. Signs of decay. I really only saw signs of decay in Vallejo, the city of the low income. As you can see, there is litter on the streets, and it's not well maintained. And right here is a picture of one of the many businesses that were closed and out of business. In downtown Vallejo, many of the shops look like this, empty storefronts, locked doors, not well maintained, old building structures, probably not up to code. And it really just looked worn to me as I walked around the city. The demographics. Vallejo, as I stated before, with a population of 118,837 as of 2014. Of Asian descent, 24.5%, white, 41.8%, Latinos, 24%, and African American around 20%. The poverty level, according to 2010 census, was 18.3% of the population was below or at the poverty level. Population of Vacaville, closely related with 94,275 as of 2014. Of Asian descent, 6.1%, whites 66.3%, Latinos 22.9%, and African American 10.3%. Vacaville had a poverty level of about 9.5 last time I checked. Homogeneity. Upon my assessment in Vallejo, I found that the majority of the city's population was of Asian descent, particularly Filipino. Most were modestly dressed in sweats and slippers. In Vacaville, on my assessment there, the majority of the occupants were white or Caucasian and casually dressed in button-up shirts and chinos. It's definitely an upper-class feel to the city, and it felt safe and clean to me. I had no problems taking pictures and walking about. In Vallejo, however, I was a little hesitant to take some of the pictures around the city due to the population. Health and lifestyle. Upon my assessment in Vallejo, I found that the majority of the city population was overweight and obese and smokers. There are not many gyms in the city and numerous fast food stops and local stores offering cheap box-made cuisine. The citizens upon looked unkept. Upon research, Vallejo is one of the highest reported cities of chlamydia and other STDs with a rate of 512.4 per 100,000, which exceeds the national rate of 456.1 per 100,000. So the city is unkept, and it looks like so are the occupants. On Vacaville, upon my assessment of the city, the majority of the occupants were of normal weight and height, and I did not see one smoker. It doesn't mean there weren't any. There are numerous gyms in the city. I counted 10 plus fully sized gyms, maybe a bit too many, but you can't say you can't find a gym in Vacaville. The Vacaville Hospital recently opened a wellness center, which included health and gym services, example, oncology, endocrinology, and personal training. There are lots of local farms and great produce stores, such as the Nugget, which is close to a Whole Foods. In retrospect, when I did a little more research, I saw Vallejo was up to get a Whole Foods, but was denied once the market research came out to them. The rate of college graduate was too low, and Whole Foods decided not to come into Vallejo. Risk behaviors. In Vallejo, I put smoking, drug use was evident, alcohol abuse, sedentary lifestyle, lack of food, shelter, and also prostitution. In Vacaville, more outdoor exercising and walking, great outdoor activities, and parks. Local primary health care services and community recreational centers. Services, parks, and recreations. Vallejo did not have many parks. I walked past one inner city park, as I mentioned before. It was just a cement basketball court full of graffiti and trash. On the other hand, Vacaville had numerous parks with people outdoors playing. I even witnessed a wedding on the day that I took this photo. And this place is called Creek Walk and has weekly bands and carnival fairs to help bring out and draw attention to the city. Transportation. In Vallejo, I saw many people walking and numerous homeless people with shopping carts. The main form of transportation in the city was mass transit. In Vacaville, I witnessed many people riding bikes to work and for recreation. The main form of transportation seemed to be private-owned vehicles, high-end such as Tesla and Lexus. Health and social services. Both cities have state-of-the-art hospitals. In Vallejo, we have a big Sutter and a big Kaiser with trauma 2 level emergency rooms. Along with Vacaville, who also has a trauma 2 level emergency room, the Vaca Valley Hospital, and also a Kaiser, and a primary care through Sutter. Both services have social services and are supported by Solano County Public Health. I did notice in both cities, however, that there was not adequate access to primary care clinics to help with prevention and maintenance of chronic diseases. The emergency rates for both cities are very high and highly utilized by the population. As if for primary care, many of the new diagnoses came to patients through the emergency room and not a general practitioner. Protective services, Vallejo, there are local fire and police stations throughout the city. I interviewed one of the local police officers, and he stated that the police are severely short on budget and patrol, saying only 4 patrol officers are on at a time. It leads to slow reaction times and a rise in crime. I didn't feel quite safe walking around. Due to this policing, I was told that this was due to budget because back in 2008, Vallejo declared city bankruptcy and has been trying to dig itself out of it for the last few years. Vacaville, as in Vallejo, there are numerous local and fire and police stations. I saw many patrolling officers on duty and local firefighters responding to calls. Overall, I felt very safe walking the streets. Religion, Vallejo and Vacaville both had many churches, and I would have to say, based on the churches that I saw, the main religions would be Catholicism and Christianity. Education, Vallejo. Most of the population has a high school or below education and little to no college or trade school education. Vallejo High has on-site daycare because many of their students have become pregnant, and so they have childcare on the premises to allow them to continue with school. Has both its pros and its cons. Vacaville has a high rate of high school graduates and higher population of college level and beyond education. Stores and shops. Vallejo, as stated before, heavily gated and many businesses have been closed. Vacaville, with the new premium outlets and new renovations monthly of new stores opening. And I saw a lot of help wanted signs in Vacaville showing me that they are ready to hire and that there is thriving businesses around the area. Economics. As stated earlier, the city of Vallejo declared bankruptcy in 2008 and has been struggling ever since. The city is in disarray and is in need of a lot of work, politically, physically, and health-wise. The mean family income is $58,000. Another downturn came earlier in the city with the closure of Mare Island, the naval shipyard that closed in 1996, now with an unemployment rate of 8.7 compared to the national rate of 6.3. The city of Vacaville is bursting with new development as a home to many commuters like the likes of Sacramento and San Francisco. The mean family income is $74,000 with unemployment rates below the national average standing at 5.2%. Local businesses. Both Vallejo and Vacaville have locally owned businesses such as dry cleaners and dress boutiques and restaurants. Many of the businesses in Vallejo are protected 24 hours by camera and are fenced and do not seem very busy. Many of the businesses are looking to hire, as stated in Vacaville, and are full of business, well-maintained and manicured, and have the look of pride. Major city employers. Vacaville, that's a small business, and one of the larger employers in the city and main attraction is Six Flags Kingdom, with over 3,000 employees and millions of visitors yearly. Vacaville has a thriving business. It's hiring. And one of the major employers is Genentech, a well-funded biomedical group who gives back to the Vacaville community through grants and hospital donations. Politics. As far for politics, it's election year. In both cities, I saw numerous campaign signs for local officials, but nothing really presidential. I did see some lines of the voting stations, which tells me that people have a voice and they're willing to share it. Signs of wealth and poverty. Vallejo has many whole plus food shopping of cheap assorts, such as you see here is Seafood City. And then for Vacaville, one of the only cities I think close to me that has Tesla charging stations. If you didn't know, Tesla is an all-electrical vehicle, upwards to $100,000 in price. Signs of wealth and poverty. Many businesses have been foreclosed in the city of Vacaville, and it smells of cigarettes and marijuana. Vacaville has thriving businesses that are hiring, and many citizens are well dressed and shopping, and the air is crisp and clean. Health problems and issues. Vallejo. A lack of access to affordable health care, drug abuse, and lack of education such as DARE at an early age, obesity and lack of healthy options and access, and lack of shelter for those in need. For Vacaville, I found a lack of mental health facilities. There were none. Vacaville has 2 mental health facilities within the city. Smoking, chronic disease management, inadequate health education that's culturally sensitive. Now, smoking, I didn't see any smokers while I was out, but since I do work in Vacaville, I see many smokers, and we also have a smoking cessation program that has just started due to this fact. Community resources. Vallejo has the mental health, and Vacaville also has the wellness center and public health, and also Alpha Pregnancy Center for prenatal care, and the public health department. Community strengths. Vallejo has active artists, local community prenatal care, behavioral health facilities, and 2 major hospitals. Vacaville has an active community, which is local primary care facilities, community recreational centers, and a new wellness center that provides health prevention. Stakeholders. I interviewed Teddy, who's a local resident of Vallejo who works in the health department. I interviewed her more not of her job, but as a resident, and she told me that she does most of her shopping outside of Vallejo, and her children are in private school. She stated she does most of it out there because it doesn't feel safe. My key stakeholder was Shailene, who's a new public health nurse for Solano County. She gives acute care experience within the community, and she also graduated from the Solano nursing program. She's a great resource for the community of Vallejo. She lists some of the major community issues as sexually transmitted diseases, a lack of primary care, increasing obesity, and hypertension and diabetes. She also stated that many of the residents are not interested in healthcare and are a difficult group to gather and plan prevention. For Vacaville, the population stakeholder, Julie R., is a local resident and primary care nurse at a local community clinic that serves the community. She stated that Vacaville is thriving, but not without its faults. Smoking is a big deal, and so is the issue of drug use. She also stated that she sees a big Hispanic population that suffers from diabetes and hypertension. My key stakeholder for Vacaville is Gary P. He's the CEO of North Bay Health Systems, a local private hospital in Solano County based in Fairfield and Vacaville. He's been the CEO for over 25 years and has seen lots of growth in the county. He oversaw the expansion of 2 hospitals and a 1-physician clinic to 3 community clinics with over 30 primary care providers serving the community. Key needs for Vacaville are control of obesity and diabetics and increasing mental health services. Reflection. Overall, it was a great experience, very eye-opening for me, challenging and informative, and now I feel like I know the community's buying me a little more. Both cities can benefit from public health and more access. I believe that a change is happening, and the stakeholders I interviewed have positive community roles that can help serve their communities. That is it for my windshield survey. I hope you guys enjoyed. I have to say the 15 minutes went by fairly quickly. Thank you.